What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about OBS. We're going to go through everything from scratch, covering all the settings, dialing in things like your microphone, creating scenes, making sure that you have a good looking video quality going out to whatever platform you desire to stream to. So if you're new to streaming, thinking about streaming, or if you are streaming, I just cracked my knuckle. If you've been streaming and you're experiencing things like drop frames, or you watch your videos and the quality is not that good, then hopefully these settings will help you. And let's go. Let's cue transition. Welcome back, my friends. So we're going to be talking about OBS, and make sure that you are set for whatever platform you want to stream to. I stream to Twitch twice a week, on Sunday nights and Thursday nights, and then if I'm able to, I'll fit in some bonus streams throughout the week. But if you would like to come and check out your boy on Twitch, the link is going to be in the description. Ask questions about stream setups, audio, visual stuff. I would love to spend some time to help and answer that. We are going to start with OBS. I'm assuming you know how to download the program, but I will include a download link in the description as well. But we're just going to dive right into the settings of OBS. So here we go. Okay, so here we are in OBS. This is OBS version 26.0.2 at the time of this recording. So if you're watching this and there's a newer version out, for the most part, it's going to be the same unless they add some new features, but what we're going over should be just fine. Okay, so starting with this big section right here, this is your preview section, and this is where you're going to see all the elements that we're going to add for our viewers to see on whatever platform we're streaming to. So let's focus right here first on this section here. This is called the scenes box, or the scenes section, and here's where we create different scenes. For example, like a starting soon scene. If you're about to start your stream, you could just have a graphic displaying that your stream is about to start. Then after that, you can create another scene of your actual gameplay if you're streaming on Twitch, or you're using this just to record your desktop. Then you can have an intermission if you take a break and you want to be right back scene, another graphic with be right back, or the stream is ending. So here is where you create layers and layers upon different scenes. Now within the scenes are the sources. So for example, that gaming scene that I mentioned, we need to have some elements in there. We have to have our desktop displayed, or our game capture being displayed. Something has to be displayed there, so we're going to add that source in here, and you can just stack layers upon layers of different sources. So you can have your game with your webcam, and maybe your logo as a lower third or something. So you could just stack all those as separate sources within an individual scene. Moving on to the next section, this is called the scene transition. So as we toggle and as we click through the different scenes that we establish, how is that going to look? Is it going to fade into it? Is it going to just swipe? Is it going to slide? That's pretty simple, cut and dry. You can mess around with this and see what you like. Then we have the audio mixer. Right now there's nothing in there, but I'm going to add my microphone, and we'll be able to see the meters moving for that. And then all the way to the right, we have our controls where we can start our stream, start recording. We can start a virtual camera. So whatever we're displaying here in our preview, we'll be able to show that as a web camera. So a second application like Zoom or Skype or whatever can identify OBS as a virtual camera. We can go in studio mode, and here's where we're going to spend the rest of the stream, is in this settings section. And then you can exit OBS by clicking this exit button here. Okay, one more thing I want to talk about are these two tabs right here, the profile and the scene collection. The cool thing is for the profile, you can set different profiles that you may want for separate reasons. So a different layout for my Twitch, which is my Risen, and then a different layout for YouTube. But within that, this is more important, is how you can have different scene collections. So remember I was talking about our different scenes and the sources that are within them. So you can create different ones that won't interfere with previous ones that you've built. So for example, this is one I have for tutorials and videos. If I go to my Twitch one, you're gonna see how much I have built and established within there. So here's my Twitch layout and you see my webcam again, but you see I have a lot of things going on in here. So I have a cool little boo video going on, but and then I just have my scenes and everything within them. So if I make a new scene collection and I go back to the tutorial one, then I'm back and I don't lose. I can start from scratch and I won't lose what I created with my Twitch scene collection. So that's pretty important to know. That way you don't have to keep trying to rework the same one over and over again. Okay, so let's dive in to the settings of OBS. So once again, we're going to go to our control section. We're going to click settings, and then this window is going to pop open, and just tab by tab we'll walk through them. The general is pretty straightforward. You don't really have to change anything. Maybe up top here you may want to change the language if you need a different language, or you may want to change the theme. Instead of dark theme, they have some other ones here. I just keep it on dark theme, so I'm good to go with that. The next tab down is stream. This is where you're going to link your OBS to whatever platform you want to stream to. So some of the options is Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Restream, Twitter. If you click custom, you can make a custom RTMP, which can be your own personal website, and you can stream directly to your website if you have that ability. One thing that they implemented is this connect account button, and if you click this, it's very simple to connect your Twitch account. All you have to do is log in. If you have a two-factor authorization, then you're probably going to get a code sent to your phone or an email address that you have established with them, and you'll be able to log that in. So that's pretty cool, pretty straight and simple. Next tab down is the output. So here is where we really want to make sure we spend some time to ensure that we're having the best streaming quality that we can send to our viewers. My recommendation, starting from the top on the output mode, changing this from simple to advanced. It's gonna just show a few more features here. So we see on these tabs we have streaming, recording, audio, replay buffer. We're just gonna focus on streaming for now. So in the streaming tab, the first thing we have is audio tracks. You're pretty much just gonna need one track unless you have a special setup that needs more than one, but one audio track is more than enough. That's fine. For the encoder, okay, there is something you need to know for the encoder. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you definitely want to have NVIDIA NuVenc H.264 new. So important. It has its own encoding. It uses your graphics card to encode and process the stream. It's so smooth. It's so much better. So definitely, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, use this setting here. If you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card, you're probably going to see some options. Choose X264, and we'll walk through that setting a little bit later. Next, you want to make sure you have enforced streaming service encoder settings checked. We don't want to check this rescale output because we're going to do that later in this video tab here. Moving on, we have rate control. You want to control bitrate. That's what CBR stands for, controlled bitrate. So we want it to be steady. The bit rate that we establish, we definitely want it to stay to that. We don't want it to fluctuate. So we want to maintain this bit rate that we're establishing. So one of the ways that you can find out what bit rate you should be streaming at is to Google search speedtest.net. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. But one thing I want to definitely let you know is if you go into the settings, by default, speedtest.net runs their speed test at megabytes per second, but Twitch does kilobytes per second. So in this settings section, if you click kbps, now when we run our tests, we're going to be doing it in kilobytes per second rather than megabytes per second, and we can have an accurate reading for what we should be streaming our bitrate at. Okay, so I'm going to click go. And what we want to pay attention to is not the download, because we're not receiving anything. We're sending our stream to Twitch. So it's the upload that we want to pay attention to. Okay, so my test finished, and this is what I'm looking at, 144,336 kilobytes per second. So what do we do with this number? I'm also going to link this in the description below. If we go to Twitch's stream recommendation, the encoding recommendation, this guy tells you exactly what you're looking for. So if you want to establish your bit rate, if your bit rate is anywhere close to these settings, 6,000, 4,500, or 3,000, and if you're using your NVIDIA Azure encoder or your X264, just follow these settings here. It's very simple. It even tells you step by step control bit rate, the frame rate you should be going to, the keyframes, quality presets, and your B frames. So I'm going to have this in the description below that you can reference to, and then just compare where your upload kilobytes per second is according to the bit rate in each one of these seconds, and it's going to let you know the resolution you should be streaming at, 1280 by 720, 4500 kilobytes per second, for example, and so on and so forth. So now I have more than enough in my speed test to run at 6,000 kilobytes per second. Twitch also said that my keyframe should be 2, my preset should be quality, my profile should be high, look ahead should be unchecked, cycle visual tuning should be checked, my GPU is 0, and then my max B frames is 2. Then click apply, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, moving on, we have our audio section. Make sure that your sample rate is set to 48 kilohertz and that your channel is stereo. Remember that your channel is stereo because when we input our microphone, we are going to make sure that we have meter readings on both sides, left and right. Okay, global audio devices. This is the inputs that you have for your desktop and your microphone. So this works with your sound settings for your computer, your PC, your desktop. And if you right click this speaker icon and go to open sound settings, you have your output and then you have your input. This is what we're looking for, is our input, okay, for our microphone. For me, I have an audio interface, which is my Focusrite. It's a USB plug-in, and my XLR microphone is plugged into that. As I'm talking, you see I'm getting a meter reading, so that works. If you have a Blue Yeti, then you would select Blue Yeti as your input for your microphone and test it out. Make sure you get a meter reading. If you have a headset, look for whatever microphone yours is named and labeled and make sure that's your input. For your output, this is going to be like to your headset. So make sure your headphones are selected for your sound output. Okay, so for desktop audio, let's just make that you can make it default, or you can actually choose your headset, you know, like your speakers, outs or something. I have voice meter, so mine looks a little bit different, but for the most part, you'll just select default. And then for your microphone, again, if you have that input set in your sound settings, you can select default, or you can actually choose your microphone. I'm just gonna set it for default there. And meter readings, this just lets you know how the meters look, if they're running fast or smooth. And then advanced, you really don't have to do anything with that. And make sure you click apply. Okay, next tab over is your video output. So your base canvas resolution is your native resolution. You want to make sure that if your monitor is capable of doing the highest resolution, choose that. But then your output is what you want to stream out to Twitch or YouTube or whatever platform you're sending to. So let's say, for example, in the Twitch recommendations, it told you to output at 1280 720. Now we're going to rescale that to that resolution. Down below is what type of filter are we using to rescale this. So depending on how good your PC is and how good your processor is and your graphics card, you can choose as high as Lanczos, I guess that's how you say that, sharpening scale, 36 samples. But you can just kind of mess around and just see what looks best for you. Your controlled bitrate, based off of what that Twitch recommendation is, 60 or maybe even 30 FPS. You can choose that and make sure you click apply. Next section is our hotkeys. Here you can establish certain hotkeys on your keyboard if you want to do certain things. For example, like if you want to start the stream, you can do Shift W, and then if you want to stop the stream, you can do Shift W again or choose something else, and make sure you click apply. But just look through all of these, see if you want to even use any of them. If you want to delete any, just hit the trash can, it'll clear it out. Advanced, there's not much you really need to do here. If you want to have a little bit more priority, give OBS. If you're not running a lot of things, for example, I have a 2 PC setup. So in my streaming PC, I can run maybe above normal if I want OBS to have a little bit more processing, because I'm not using this PC for anything else other than streaming. If you have a single PC, then I would just leave it at normal. You should be fine. If you do change anything, make sure you click apply. And that's it for the OBS settings. Okay, so now we see in our audio mixer, we have some audio meters showing here. Because remember, in our settings, in the audio section, we set our desktop and we set our microphone to default, which is our desktop defaults. One thing I want to make note of, this is supposed to be stereo. Remember I said pay attention to the stereo in the output, but we only see 1 meter registering here. So it's important to know that if you have this, all you have to do is click this cogwheel, go to Advanced Audio Properties, and under your microphone that's here, select mono. Once you make it mono, now it's equally going to distribute your microphone to the left and right. The reason why it does that is because you're only 1 input, but we're setting our audio to stereo. So by default, it goes to the left. But the moment we make it mono, it takes that same signal and distributes it to both sides, and you're good to go. You definitely don't want to be speaking and then your microphone is only on the left side and people are listening to your stream, and it's just not sweet. Don't do it. Don't be that guy. Okay, so now that we have our meter reading, we are going to dial this microphone in. So if I'm quiet, you're going to notice that it's still picking up some audio. Look at this. Okay, what's happening is that my microphone is just picking up audio from the room. So to eliminate that, if we click the cogwheel and we go to filters, we're going to add some filters to kind of clean up our signal. And I'm going to just kind of move this so that I can see the meters as they're moving. So under the filters, we're going to click this plus sign. And the first thing I want to do is I want to add a noise suppression. Hit OK there. It's going to create a noise suppressor here. And if I'm quiet, you're going to see those small nuances of audio in my room goes away. Okay, so that quiet up the microphone there. The next thing I want to do is I want to add a compressor. So with the compressor, by default, it does a ratio of 10:1. So for every dB that you cross this threshold, it's going to deduct it by 10. So I'm going to back this down to about 3 right there, 3:1. And I'm looking at this meter reading right here. So if I'm talking really low, I want to get as close to the top of the yellow, just tapping into the red as possible. But when I speak loud, I don't want it to clip. So I'm going to increase my gain, check, 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 until I start tapping into the beginning of the red. Check, 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 check. Okay, right there seems to be good. About 7.5 or so. Check, check. So if I'm talking, whenever I hit my high peaks, I'm just tapping into the red. So now I want to smooth this out. If I get loud, I'm going to increase the ratio. Check, 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 check. And then I'm going to bring down this threshold until it brings my loudest points back to where my quietest points are, tapping into the beginning of the red. So check, 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 check. There we are. So now, let me back this ratio down. Check, check, check. So now it's tapping, is not going past. If I get loud, if I laugh loud, it's not going to distort and go deep into the red. I want to get as much signal as possible. Okay, for the most part, these are the two things that you're going to need just to have a clean sounding and a very dominant sounding microphone. However, if you're still getting some background noise, you could add a gate, a noise gate. And what this noise gate is going to do is it's going to close your microphone when you're not talking, and it's going to open your microphone when it receives some velocity into the diaphragm of the microphone. So if we drag these all the way to the top, this microphone is closed and not opening. So I'm going to move this until I'm getting a signal of my voice to where it opens up. I want it to open when it hears my voice. And if I tap my keyboard, you see it's still hearing that. So now I'm going to want to close it until it kind of gets rid of that. So now you don't hear my keyboard whenever I'm not talking, and my microphone opens whenever I am talking. So you just have to mess with these two sliders and just kind of dial it in and just see if it opens up. Record yourself. Definitely record yourself. Listen to the audio, because one thing is that this gate will make your microphone sound very choppy if it's not a smooth transition with this noise gate. Okay, so now let's create some scenes so we can start seeing what our stream is going to look like. So heading back over to the scene section, we see they already start you off with a scene. I'm going to rename this to display. Okay, so now we need to add a source to the scene that we just created. So if we head over to the source, click this plus sign, we have a few options here. First, you can do a display capture. This is your monitors. Let's say you have two monitors. One is going to be your main gaming. That's what you want to choose. So you can choose monitor 1 or monitor 2. If you want to capture a specific game, then it's just going to capture that game. You have to have it open to select it. And only that game would be displayed. So if you minimize that game, it will go to a black screen again until you bring that game back into the shot. If we scroll down a little bit further, you have video capture device, and this is it could be your web camera, it can be a capture card. If you have a console that you're trying to bring on over, this is where you would bring that into your OBS. And then lastly, you have a window capture. That's if you want to capture things like your Chrome browser or a specific program that you have open and you want to talk about it. You can choose a specific window to open. For me, I'm going to do my Elgato because that's what I have set up here. So I'm gonna name it Elgato. Hopefully I can spell. Yes, I can. Great. Lovely. Okay, so immediately it went to my webcam, but I am going to, and you see a green Bertha over here. That's my green screen. I'm gonna choose my Elgato capture card. So one thing is mine came into full frame. If yours doesn't go into full frame, just head on over here to resolution, and if the default ratio is off, just customize it and then choose the resolution that you need. So for me it would be 1980. Hello. There we go. So 920 by 1980, and that will pull that source in full frame into your preview window. The other thing I like to do is if you scroll down this color range, I like to make sure I have full color range at all times. So I choose that to be full and then just click OK. And now we have our display being captured. Remember, this can be a game, this can be a specific window, this could be one of your monitors. So whichever you choose, you should be seeing it here. One thing I like to do is I like to lock this in place, because sometimes if we're messing around with things and it's not locked in, it might get shifted, and then you're like, you call up this scene and then you're like, what in the world's happening? Alright, so let's bring that back over. Let's lock it in. Okay, the next thing I want to bring in is my web camera. So once again, I'm going to create another scene. You want to separate these. You don't want to just stack them all in one scene. So I'm going to do my webcam. Now that's a scene, and then I'm going to click in the sources, the plus sign, and I'm going to do a video capture once again, and I'm going to name this web camera source. Okay, and by default it choose my Brio, but I am going to, this is exactly what I was talking about before. See how it didn't bring it in the right ratio. So here I'm going to go to resolution, and I'm going to customize this to what I want it to look like. And I want the resolution to be 1920 by 1080. And then once again, I go down to color range, and I want to make sure that I have full color range so that it looks nice. And then I want to lock it in. Now I'm going to create, let's say, a gaming scene. And within this gaming scene, I'm going to combine these two sources. Now in the gaming scene, we need to add the sources. So we are going to add the display scene and the webcam scene. So if I click the plus sign, instead of adding them individually as independent sources, now we're going to go to scene because we already have them established. And I'm going to grab my display, and I'm going to lock that in, and then I'm going to go to scene again, and I'm going to add my web camera. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of resize this. Here's a couple of tips. I see a lot of people, when they're trying to adjust or make your webcam fit into a specific web camera frame, they try to manipulate it by holding shift and then making it fit. That distorts the look, and I see so many people look like this while they're streaming, just smushed, squashed, or stretched out and heavier than they need to be. We don't need that. Okay, so I'm just gonna right click, and if we go to transform, I'm gonna reset the transform. That brings it back to the default. One thing I'm gonna do is, without touching anything, I'm just gonna grab one of these square blocks, and I'm going to shrink it to a decent size that I like. And then what I like to do, if you hold down Alt, there's a difference between Shift and Alt. If you hold down Alt, then you can grab these blocks and you can do a little crop. So I'll crop these two here, and then just kind of tuck this off to the side. So now I have my webcam. One personal thing for me is I don't like to have my orientation where my back is towards where everybody's looking at my content. So again, if you right click on the source, and if you scroll down to flip horizontally, now I'm facing the right direction where I should be looking with everybody else. So, and then you could just lock that in. But for right now, this is just a simple setup: how to get your display up, how to get a webcam on, how to get your microphone set up. And with this in itself, you can just stream. You can create a graphic that says starting soon again, or be right back, or stream is ending, and then have those as individual scenes, and then add those images as sources in OBS. So that's it. All right, so I know there was a lot that was discussed here, but I'm really excited to see who this video helped. So in the comments below, let me know if this helped you at all. If you're new to streaming, or if you've been streaming for a while and you were trying to figure out some quality settings, let me know. Also, I stream on Twitch every Sunday night and Thursday night, and bonus streams in between. So down again in the description is my Twitch channel link. Head on over there, ask me any questions. If you catch me streaming, I'd love to have some conversations with you. But until next time, I so appreciate each and every one of y'all. Be safe. Later.
Nice. Get it. Nice. Let's go.
Oh, okay. This is a very wide open map, so he doesn't have a lot of space to hit a lot of people.
Oh man, that one reloads so fast. I mean, so slow. Nice. Let's go. got it, man. You got this. You got this, dude. There it is right there. Let's go! Clip it, y'all. Clip it. My dude, back-to-back dubs.
Let's go.